welcome back to the kitchen bar. It's Kiana back with another video for an ever so slightly twist on a classic game day favorite. Today I'm going to be making my Rotel dip, and I'll tell you everything you need. If you start here, as you can see, I have 1 pound of ground beef here, and I do something a little bit different. Some people make a sausage dip with Rotel, some people make a hamburger dip. Well, I actually like to take my hamburger and my sausage and mix the two together. So here you'll see I am adding 1 pound of ground pork sausage to my skillet where I already have my 1 pound of ground beef. Now, I usually like to use a really lean ground beef since the pork sausage has a very nice fatty acid added to the dish. So I use the 80-20 I think ground beef. So here I am using my trusty little masher mallet to mix the ground beef and the pork sausage together here in the pan. And I drain this after I have got it all together. As you can see, I am mixing quite thoroughly, and then I will actually leave this on the stove to continue to brown as I move on to the next step. But I do like my ground beef mixture to be really nice and crispy, so I let it sit on the stove for quite some time, mixing it intermittently. So next you have the main ingredient, the Velveeta cheese that we're going to add, or aka liquid gold is what they call Velveeta. Well, I'm going to take the Velveeta out of the package here. As you can see, I'm going to have a little bit of a difficulty opening the package, but once I get it open, I'm going to just cut it into small pieces. 1-inch squares will probably suffice. That just makes it a lot easier for you to be able to melt down. And in this video, it's going to be about a 5-minute span that I'll have it in the microwave intermittently. What I like to do is cut my cheese into small pieces and melt it on about 1 to 2 minute bursts. Remove it from the microwave and stir it, and then put it back in the microwave for it to melt down, to make it a little easier to stir before I add everything all together. This is a very, very delicious dish, and I don't just use it for a game day favorite here in the Brown household. I also cook it for dinner, especially on those nights when I've been asleep all day because I've previously worked a night shift, slept all day, and then I get up in a frenzy because I've overslept and I haven't cooked the kids anything to eat. So this is actually what preempted this little meal on this particular night for my children. Sometimes I'll serve it with a side of a guacamole salad, but this particular time I just decided to do the nachos, or what I like to call my super nachos. And as you can see here, I am adding the pieces of cheese into a bowl. That's because when I do my Rotel dip, I do something a little different than a lot of people. I don't use a crock pot. There's nothing wrong with using the crock pot, but I'm not using it today because I'm making this super fast. So I'm also going to add 8 ounces of cream cheese to this dish, and I do the cream cheese just like I do the Velveeta. Cut it up into smaller pieces just to make it a little easier to melt down. Add it to the bowl along with the chunks of Velveeta, and into the microwave this will go. So I start the microwave out at 5 minutes, and I'm going to just sit it in the microwave, hit the start button, 5 minutes, and we're off. So now I'm going to remove it from the microwave for the first time after about 2 minutes, maybe a little over 2 minutes, and I'm going to stir it together to get it pretty well incorporated. As you can see, there's still some pieces of cheese that haven't melted, but that's okay because it will get there. And as you can see, the more you stir, the more it starts to blend together, and you'll realize that a lot more of it has melted than you thought. So now I'm going to put it back in the microwave for an additional minute or two, just to allow it to further melt in together. And as you can see, it's a lot easier to stir at this point. Nice creamy consistency, a nice smooth texture. It's starting to look good already. So now I'm going to add 1 can of Rotel mild diced tomatoes and chilies. and you just add it right to the cheese mixture. Now some people like to drain theirs, but I don't drain mine because I find that the tomato juice inside of the can kind of helps to liquefy the mixture at this point and make it a little bit easier to stir before we do what? Yes, pop it back in the microwave for the remaining time to make it nice and ooey gooey and cheesy like we like it. So I'm going to just pop this back into the microwave for the final 2 minutes. And there you have it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Out of the microwave it comes, and this is what it looks like after its final spin in the microwave. Nice and smooth and creamy. You can see those large chunks of tomatoes there. So afterwards I'm going to give it a nice stir to get everything all incorporated, to make sure all those big hunks of cheese have melted down. And now we're going to add that crispy concoction of ground beef and pork sausage. Now the added addition of the pork sausage to the dish just brings it all together for me. And I also do something else a little different. Some people serve this with tortillas, like out of the bag, like Tostitos, but I like to make a variation because my family's a little bit different. I like corn tortillas, and my children actually like flour tortillas. So after I add the meat mixture into the cheese mixture, I'm going to give it a nice stir to get everything all well incorporated. And the thing about this dish, of course, the cheese starts to thicken and harden again, but it's really simple and really easy to just stick it back in the microwave and melt it down again, stir it up, and it's fine. So now I've got my white corn tortillas. And what I do is I just take the entire stack, take a long enough knife, and I cut them 4 ways to give me my little tortilla chips. Bring them back together, cut again straight down the center like in an X, and now you've got your corn tortillas ready to throw into the grease. So I let the grease get pretty hot, so that's what I'm doing now, allowing the grease to get heated. And I'm going to cut my flour tortillas the same way that I did my corn tortillas, straight down the middle, then turn it to the side and do it straight down the middle again, just like an X, and that will give me my my flour tortillas. So now we'll get started with the frying of the tortillas. Up first is the corn. There's nothing like hot, fresh fried tortillas. I love corn tortillas. And I just take a nice little sprinkle of sea salt after I'm done, and sprinkle on the tortillas, and they're absolutely delicious. I can usually eat them before I even use them in the dip. They're so good. I love them fresh fried, and it doesn't take long. Just let them cook and fry until they start turning crispy golden brown on the edges, and remove them. And of course put them to the side on a bowl or plate lined with some sort of paper to drain the grease off. And then we'll move to the flour tortillas. They're a lot bigger in this case, so not as many will fit into the frying pan. And I'm actually using a very small frying pan. But they don't take even as long as the corn tortillas to cook. You'll notice sometimes they'll start to swell and blow up and puff in the middle and get air, but that's okay. Sometimes I'll pop the little air bubble pockets in the flour tortillas, and sometimes I won't. But they don't take long at all once they start to turn a little crispy. Flip them over and let them cook for another about 15 to 20 seconds, and go ahead and remove them because they get crispy really, really quickly. And there you have it, just that fast. I've made dinner for my family. It might not be the best, but it certainly will do for us. You've got your crispy corn tortillas, freshly fried, and your crispy flour tortillas, freshly fried, with a side of Rotel dip, and it is absolutely delicious. A quick go-to meal that I do on my days when I'm going to work at night and I've overslept. It's actually one of my favorite things to eat, and it's also a game day classic, so you can pull this recipe out during football season, basketball season. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching.